What's up, guys? Today we are doing something a little bit different. I'm recently just kind of experimenting with stuff, seeing what I like to do, and I'd like to start off with saying I am not a weeaboo. I swear on my life. Please do not bring these charges up against me. If you do, I will deny them wholesale, completely, forever. Okay? So keep it in your pants. I'm not a weeaboo. If you call me a weeaboo, I'm gonna ignore you. Just know that. I will have no contact with you. But anyways, so today we're going to be talking about an anime that got the goddamn US Consumer Product Safety Commission's intern on Twitter to tweet about it. It's the anime Chainsaw Man. And the fact that the USCPSC tweeted on it, you gotta admit, if they're doing it, it's gotta be good, right? So you would hope. So, like I said, I'm not the biggest anime watcher, but you know what? I actually got back into anime a little bit too, mostly because I was able to upscale it to 4K and also put it at 60 FPS. So many of you may think hey, that's completely useless. Why are you doing that? You're ruining the fidelity of it, blah, blah, blah. Hey, you know what? It's just, honestly, I really wanted to stress test my GPU, and that was a really good way to do it. And also, it let me watch my anime in a higher fidelity that I've ever seen before. So if you guys want me to tell you how to upscale your own anime, maybe put it up to 60 FPS if you even like that, I'll put up a tutorial sometime, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. But today we're going to be talking about episode 1 of Chainsaw Man. And we're just going to kind of go through it and maybe give a little summary, give my thoughts on the whole thing. And we'll see if I end up liking this anime. I've heard a lot about it over the grapevine. My weeaboo friends, yes, I have weeaboo friends, sadly, they've told me that this anime is really good and stuff. And we'll just have to see about that ourselves. Personally, there aren't too many animes I like. Personally, I literally only go through 4 or 5 different animes on a repeat. There's Death Note, there's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, and Code Geass. That's 4. I can't count. So I want to read these tweets real quick too, just so you guys can get a feel of what the USCPSC's Twitter intern feels about the anime. So it goes, man made of chainsaws. There's a chainsaw dog? Seems like this calls for some chainsaw safety tips. Note, if you yourself are a chainsaw, tips may not apply. And then they go on to start talking about some other chainsaws. And so now we're going to go ahead and kind of just start off with the beginning scene, right? So you're kind of just started with the standard first anime episode opening, and you're greeted with this teenage looking kid, as always. Most animes, they're centered around either younger kids or young teens, because I think that's the demographic that they're pushing for. But I know in America you'll find a lot more older people watching anime anyways, and even though it kind of features these young teens, they don't go easy on the gore, and especially in this one you'll see a little bit later. So we start with this teenage kid, and he's just kind of walking around looking kind of cool. And then he starts going on about money. And you're okay, let's see what he has to hear. So he mentions he can get paid 60,000 yen for trees if he cuts down trees, and that's in American $400 US. And then he also got 1.2 million for one of his kidneys, in American dollars that's $8,000. And then he talks about how he got a right eye that he sold for $300,000, that's 2,000 USD, and he also sold one of his nuts for not even 100,000 yen, and that's $678 in USD. And then he reveals that for some reason he owes $38,040,000, and in American money currency, it's $257,928.01, and that's what the current conversion rate. I did the looking up for you guys just because I'm nice like that, you know what I mean? So we don't know what it's for yet. Why is he owing all this money? But then all of a sudden, our attention shifts because we see this fucking cute ass dog with a chainsaw on his head. So this dog's name is Pochita. He's cute as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't mind having a chainsaw dog like that. And it's really funny too because he has a handle on like the back of his head, so you can literally use him like a chainsaw. And you'll see that like later he actually does use him like a chainsaw, and that's pretty epic. Like, pets are already cool as they are. Like I myself have some cats. They're pretty chill, but if they had a chainsaw on their head, imagine how useful that would be. It looks like they don't even need to like refill the gas in them too. So we could put Big Chainsaw out of business, and I'm convinced this anime is to go up against big chainsaw corporations. I don't know what the big chainsaw, maybe Black & Decker's one. I feel like Black & Decker probably has a chainsaw. Black & Decker, watch out, buddy. Chainsaw Man's coming for you. But yeah, so continuing on, we see him like walking closer to like this area that he needs to be at, and he goes on saying he can get at least 300,000 yen per devil that he kills. So it kind of becomes clear he's a devil hunter, and we'll figure out what that is in a little bit later too, but it's kind of self-explanatory. He hunts devils for money. So and 300,000 yen, by the way, is $2,000 in USD. So then what we see happen next is he picks up his dog and he revs this little guy, and his little chainsaw head starts moving around. It's like, oh wow, okay, so you're a real chainsaw. He's Chainsaw Dog. There's Chainsaw Man and Chainsaw Dog, but there's no Chainsaw Man yet. We'll come back to him later. So then we see this like really ugly tomato devil. I think that's what he calls it, a tomato devil. And it's got eyes all over him, and he's like all creepy and stuff. But before like there's any action, we cut to the awesome opening credit scene. Honestly, I'm a fan of opening credit scenes. Those songs, they're bangers. And quite frankly, I was kind of moving and jazzing and taking it all in. I was like, ooh, yeah, hit me up with that. One more time. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Let's go. So then after and hopefully the intro, hopefully it didn't have spoilers in it, because some animes, they really don't have any chill when they make their opening credits. You know, they'll put in every single spoiler for the entire season into that intro, and you're like, why do I even need to watch it? I just literally watched the intro here, and you told me everything I needed to know basically at this point. But I don't think there were any spoilers in that one, so thank God for that, or I probably would have stopped watching at that point. But so moving on, after the end credit scene, we get to afterwards when he kills the devil already. And so this old man, he's looking like he forgot to do his skincare routine. His face is all wrinkled and stuff, pretty much what you imagine like an old dude looking like. And he reveals that they're gonna sell the devil's body on the black market. So we're like, okay, hey, Denji works for some people who have access to the black market. So it kind of narrows our options down about who these people are and what he's doing here. And so the old man is like, yo, okay, since you killed this guy, I'll pay you 400,000 yen for that. And then he's like, but actually, I'm gonna lowball you and say that, hey, after all your expenses, I'm gonna subtract that off, and you're gonna be left with 70,000 yen instead. And in American, that's literally $474. And for the initial amount he had in the beginning was $2,712. That's the current conversion rate. Remember that. So then we cut to a scene of him like walking down the street, and all of a sudden he's like, ugh, so I have to pay my bills. So this kid, he seems to be like just completely shafted in terms of money. We don't know what he did yet, and we're gonna figure out soon, hopefully, because seeing him owe all this money, it's honestly just feeling like Real Life Simulator at this point, and you're like, come on, man, can we give him a break? But he says that after he pays his bills, he's gonna be left with 1,800 yen from the 70,000 that he currently has. And if you do the conversion rate, he goes from 474 USD, which is the 70,000, to $12.20 in USD. And that's like 2 sticks of gum nowadays, you know what I mean? Especially with inflation now. Oh god, this is turning too real. Like, I'm trying to escape real life by watching this anime, but you're roping me back in to real life with inflation and conversion rates, and just, guys, please let me go back to let's go back to the anime. All right. So he's like, yo, I only have $12 basically in my pocket, and that's gonna have to last us for the month. So after that, we see the old man kind of come back up, and he's like, yo, we like Denji, but only because he's a dog. And we find out that he's a dog for the Yakuza because his dad apparently had owed the Yakuza money, and he wasn't there anymore for some reason. And we'll figure that out in a little bit too. So this scene gets kind of sad to me, at least, like, personally. I'm like, come on, man, like, they have money problems, and it wasn't even his own fault. It's kind of like the sins of the father going down to the son. And we basically see the driver for the old man, because he was in a car. He goes up to Denji and he's like, yo, eat the ciggy for 100 yen? Huh? 100 yen? Huh? You want to eat the ciggy? And he's like, for real? Yo, on God? And he takes the cig. He eats it for 100 yen. And that hurt. Because, like, if you ever been in money problems, if you ever had them, they're not the funnest thing to have to deal with, especially when it's really hard to keep earning money, you know? It's just how it is. So we find out that he actually doesn't eat it. He just kind of like spits it out. And so we're happy that he didn't have to fully eat the cigarette, but he got that ash in his mouth, so we know that thing's stinking at this point. So he reveals to his dog, like, yo, looks like we're gonna be eating good tonight. It's gonna be a piece of bread. And you find out that he has to share this piece of bread with his dog, or his dog could starve. So it's just a piece of bread split between the two of them. So it really also shows, like, yo, he's really close with his dog. Like, it's pretty much the only family he has at this point. His dad's gone, and we don't have any information on his mom, and he's pretty much just hounded by the Yakuza constantly. And honestly, it's setting up like a character who's like really down in the dumps, and you're kind of feeling for him. So I appreciate a character like this, because like it just shows how real they are, and it gives you like a connection to them, like a chance to just be like, yo, he's not this all-powerful being like maybe like Goku, where he can go Super Saiyan 11 and he's just like one-shotting everyone, and he has super speed and he can block bullets with his hand. Like, and no, it's this kid. He lost his parent, and he only has his dog, and he's poor. Like, I don't you can relate to that if you were in that situation, right? You're like, okay, I feel some sympathy for this man, and it's how it is. So after that scene comes up, we're come up with a scene where he pretty much just talks about like to Pochita, and he's just kind of in his little dingy ass like room. So it looks like a little shed that he's in, and poor guy is just holding Pochita, and he has his little piece of bread, and he's talking about how like, yo, he's heard that like people put jam on their bread. So it kind of tells you this kid has not had like a normal meal in like near a decade at that point, because in the scene that's about to come up, we see that he's a little kid, and that's when he had to start being part of paying off his dad's debt. And so he says that normal people use jam, and that's like it's amazing to him. And he talks, and of course like the normal anime trope comes up. He's like, if I had one wish, and instead of like, I think this part's like, come on man, really, that's your one wish? Like, you could literally just wish to not be in the situation. And his one wish is to make sure that he loses his virginity before he dies. And it's like, buddy, listen, you look at your you could wish for something a little bit better there, right? Just a teeny bit. But yeah, it's just a common anime trope. It's funny. It is what it is, right? So now finally, like as he goes to sleep, we get to see a flashback of his childhood. So the flashback starts with him like over a grave, and you see him like just staring at it, and it's raining. Common sad anime day. And some guy rolls up next to him, and we find out that his dad owed money to the Yakuza. And if you've played any of the Yakuza games, you know that if you owe money to the Yakuza, they're gonna come shaking you down for it, like no matter how long it takes to pay them. And as we learned earlier, like it was like 38 million yen, and that was like $200,000. So this man was deep in debt, and the old dude, instead of being like, yo, my condolences or something, he's like, hey, yo, kid, you're gonna have to pay me at least 700,000 yen by tomorrow, all right, buddy? And that's $4,700 USD to this kid who clearly has nothing, and his dad just died because, you know, he couldn't pay his bills and he didn't want to deal with it, and so the dad felt like he had no choice clearly, and he left the kid by himself. And so the old man also threatens to like chop him up and stuff, and it's like, come on, man, this is a kid. You can't. I know you're Yakuza and you're badass, but like this kid literally can't do anything for you. But after the old man leaves, we see Pochita come up behind him, and he's looking angry, and this is clearly like the first time that they've met, and Pochita looks like he's about to kill, but instead of doing that, he just kind of revs his chainsaw head and then turns to the side a little bit like this. Imagine I'm Pochita too, by the way. And he has like little blood traces like just leaking out of him. He's like, oh, you're hurt. And so Denji kind of pulls up and plays like the smart play, honestly. He's like, yo, I will let you bite me, and in return, you have to be my homie now. And honestly, that was a genius move, because it pushed him to greater heights at that point, and he was able to kind of like start paying off his bills because of Pochita. And so Pochita went up and bit him, and so we learn here that devils can heal themselves if they have even just a little bit of human blood. And I feel like that's gonna, of course, play like a big part in future episodes and stuff. And so we'll see how that goes. So after that cutscene, and now that like Pochita and him were like friends, we see that like he has a really close connection to this dog. Like he's been with him since the very beginning, like since his dad died. So the next scene is him like waking up to the old man from earlier, who's part of the Yakuza clearly. He's just knocking on the door, and he's like, Denji, we have another job for you. Come on, wake up, buddy. And sadly, he kind of goes like, these guys don't even let me have my dreams. So it says like, yo, they're pretty much just using him all the time, which is also really sad too. So it gets even worse because Denji goes with the old man. He's in his car, and they're driving over to the abandoned warehouse where the devil is, because his job at this point is a devil hunter. And what we learned earlier too, before, by the way, is that instead of like paying that 700,000 yen off, he was like, yo, I'll be a devil hunter for you instead, and they seemingly agreed to it. So they go into the abandoned warehouse, and Denji's like, yo, no one's here, bro. Hey, I'm just saying I could probably leave because it looks like they're probably gone at that point. And then all of a sudden, you're like, what just happened? And this man gets stabbed with a sword through his body, and the sword also goes through Pochita, sadly. And you're just kind of there like, oh wait, don't kill Pochita. At least personally for me, I was like, I don't mind if Denji dies, but Pochita deserves better than this. Come on, like, it's a dog. Who fucking hates dogs? If you hate a dog and you want them to die, you're not a good person. I hope you know that. So he's stabbed, and then like it turns out the old man had betrayed him, and the old man was on the side of the devils. He was like, yo, I liked you because you were a good dog, but like, yo, I'd rather have more power. The Yakuza are always looking for more power, and what they did was they gave themselves up to a devil known as the zombie devil. That's what they called it. And so what the zombie devil does is it basically turned all these people into zombies, all the Yakuza, and they all did it willingly because they thought they would get power. And even though the zombie devil said, yo, they accepted it anyways, even though they knew they would turn into zombies, which was honestly like a really stupid move. Why would you want to be a zombie, man? But it somewhat feels like they have control of themselves, but not really, because they pretty much just listen to the zombie devil anyways. So what happens is we literally see him get chased down by these zombie Yakuza after getting stabbed, because he's already injured, and he pretty much gets chopped right up into like tiny pieces, and he doesn't escape basically. And Pochita, we see in the next scene, he's also cut in half, sadly, and you're like, well, there goes the best character. So personally, I was like, I hope Pochita stays. So we get like a flashback of Pochita, because he got a little bit of blood in his mouth from Denji, so he kind of got a little bit healed, just enough to have this flashback. And so Denji's like holding up his little doggy, and he's like, hey yo, if I die fighting a devil, take my body and go be a normal man for me. That's my dream. And so basically we were lied to. His dream wasn't to actually be like to lose his virginity. His real dream was to live out his life as a normal person, instead of being like an indentured servant to the Yakuza, where he has to pay off all his dad's debt, which is kind of annoying that they lied to it. No, I'm kidding. It wasn't annoying. It was kind of funny. But it was clear like that was his actual dream. So this is where we learn that devils can take over humans' bodies if they really want to. But we see that instead of taking over Denji's body when he died, so he was cut up into a whole bunch of pieces in the dumpster. So what Pochita does instead is seemingly sacrifice himself and put Denji back together, and he brought him back to life by giving him his powers. Like he let Denji absorb him instead of the other way around, like Denji had asked him to. So this is where we find out that Pochita can talk, and I'm pretty sure it was just in like his little head, because they were formed together as one now. And he goes, hey yo, I like listening to you talk, so you show me your dream instead, and you do it for me. And so this basically, in my mind, secured Pochita as pretty much the best character in the show. There's going to be no one who trumps him, and I don't care what anyone says. Pochita is the best. Even if he doesn't come up anymore, he's always in my heart. He sacrificed himself, even though he was a devil, for a human, and that takes a lot of heart. So that tells me that Pochita had the biggest heart of them all, and hopefully Denji doesn't waste this chance that Pochita has given him. And if he does, we're turning this anime off, at least in my head. All right. Just a warning: if Pochita is defiled in any way after this, I know he's dead. I know he's gone. But if he is, I'm putting this on my hate list. So this is where we finally see that Denji becomes the Chainsaw Man. There's no longer a chainsaw dog, but he is now the Chainsaw Man, like the title says. And in the first episode, we don't quite get the like reveal that he doesn't say the words Chainsaw Man, but we know in our heads this man is Chainsaw Man himself. And the way we know is because he has a chainsaw sticking out of his head, and his little arms, they're chainsaws too. So he has to be the Chainsaw Man for sure. There's no doubt about it anymore. So then we see like the classic, badass, like, I'm back alive even though it's chopped up, and the zombies that kind of all run at him, and he just takes his time hacking them up, pop, and then he does the classic, I'm gonna do a spin move, woo, and he dodges everyone, and then he goes up to the big bad zombie devil, and he's kind of like, and that's my description of the thing. And there's a lot of blood everywhere, and there's a lot of gore. I'm not going to show it, and if you want to see it, you can go watch it yourself. But there was a lot of gore. I can't stress the amount of blood that was in that scene. And personally for me, I like it. I like adult themed animes. They're not the worst. And so then we see like this after he kills all the zombies and stuff, we find him just kind of like standing there like, you know, like he's kind of out of it. Like he just murdered all those zombies who were turned by the zombie devil, and it seemed that like the zombie devil's effect didn't wear off on the people even after it had died, sadly. So all those Yakuza had to go. And in this scene, we kind of saw like a sadistic side. I feel like he enjoyed it a little too much doing it, and he was like laughing his ass off while he was murdering the Yakuza zombies and being like, "I'm gonna be free of you guys!" Ha! So we see a little bit of a sadistic side of this character, which, hey, we'll see if it comes up later. And I haven't like read the manga or anything, but that's just my kind of guess, and we'll see if that pulls through, you know, where he's a little bit sadistic. So then after he kills all the zombies, we get a scene where this like mysterious redheaded woman comes in, and she kind of like looks around and sees all the dead zombies, and he's the only one standing. And so she walks up to him and she's like, "Are you a devil?" And it's like, really? Like, does he not look like a devil? He has a chainsaw as a head. Come on, man. Big chainsaw corporations, they saw this and they were like, "Yo, he's gonna run us out of business. We don't like him." And then so we get to kind of this stupid scene where he's like kind of like feigning in and out of like consciousness, and he's like, "Hug me." And for some reason, this woman does hug him. Like, she can tell that he's not like possessed demon, because like the chainsaw parts start melting off of him, kind of like their Smucker's jelly. I know you guys might, whoever likes Smucker's jelly, I'm sorry, but it just looked like Smucker's jelly to me. I don't mean to offend your favorite jam or anything. Basically, he like faints in her arms, and they're on the ground, and she's looking down at him, and she's like, "Yo, so you can do two things here. Either I can kill you like those zombies over there, or you can be my doggy." And I'm pretty sure that's what she meant. You can be my dog instead of the Yakuza's dog. And we'll see that in the next episode, I think. I saw a little spoiler for it. But yeah, so this is where we also learn that in this series, there is a public sector of the government, I guess. I'm guessing it's the government that deals with devil hunting. And they call it like public safety. So this woman, she works for the government, or at least for the public safety sector that hunts devils. And so it looks like he's like gonna be a government worker at this point. At least I'd like to think so. He's pretty much just a government worker. And so going back to the ultimatum though, she basically is like, "Yo, if you come with me, I'll feed you too." And so this kid is just so malnourished, we saw earlier, that like all he can think about is breakfast. He's like, "What's for breakfast though?" And she goes like, "Coffee, we got salad, bread with jam." And you already knew. Once he heard bread with jam, this man was taken. He did not say no, and we can assume that he said yes. So he's probably going to be a part of the public safety group, and he's going to have a new partner, it seems. And so that's where the anime ends, and we're kind of just left with like, wow, that was a hell of a first episode. A bunch of gore, a bunch of killing. We lost Pochita already, sadly, even though he was probably like one of the best characters, in my opinion. He will probably be one of the best characters, in my opinion. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, and I just want to leave you guys off with this. Let me know if you liked what we did here, summarizing kind of an episode, kind of just throwing my thoughts out there. I'll watch more of this myself, and if I like it, I'll probably do like another one of these. If you guys like it, I'll definitely do another one of these. And like I said before, like I'm not the biggest fan of anime, but I really do like upscaling it and watching them in 4K, and it honestly just makes the experience that much better. But I'm not a weeb. I swear to God, guys, please don't call me a weeb. That's all I ask. Maybe look forward to episode 2 of Chainsaw Man up on this channel at least. All right, guys. Please don't call me a weeb. Peace.